Hello everybody, I'm going to be talking about this 3D bloom tray that I did. That's actually part of a larger 3-tier tray that I'm making. But this piece that I'm going to demo today on the video is actually the large tray. It's from Molds and Shapes, and it's the large fantasy tray. Just showing you there the resin that I used, which was Fiberglass Coatings. It's their super clear resin. There's a couple resins that I prefer to use on my 3D blooms. That's one of them. I also like Platnium's Ultra Clear, as well as Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin. I find that those do the best actually when working on the 3D blooms. So right now I'm just popping some bubbles. Obviously I dropped something there. I'm recording this voiceover after the fact, after I did it. So please just bear with me while I wait to see what I'm doing. But I have a feeling I'm probably getting my white ready and getting ready to drop my alcohol inks. Obviously getting, I have some Greyhound glitter in there, so I'm getting that out of my mold. Unfortunately, it falls on my clothes and it just sometimes gets into my stuff, but that's what I'm doing there, is I'm just trying to get that out before I start. And then I'm actually using Julie Cut's bloom paste for my white. I mixed up 30 grams of resin to make my white, so it's one full drop per 10 grams, so I did 3 drops of white. And then I just kind of stir that well until I don't get any streaks in it. And then I'm gonna start dropping my alcohol inks when I used a combination of Octopus fluids in olive, and I used their honey right there for the center. I used the olive for my leaves, and then can't remember if I used berry juice in this one from Octopus Fluids, but I know I used the US Art Supply, the magenta and the pure pink. And I got those US Art Supply ones actually on Amazon. They came in a kit, but they have, and I'm just going back here really quick. Yes, I did drop berry juice. So it went honey from Octopus Fluids, berry juice, and then the magenta, like I was saying, that's the magenta from US Art Supply, and I also used the pure pink from them. I ordered those from Amazon quite some time ago actually, but you get a really nice saturated color from these inks. I actually like them quite a bit for the amount of dollars that you pay, and the color you get honestly is super amazing, because some of the alcohol inks actually dissipate and some of the color disappears, but those, and obviously Octopus Fluids are super good inks. When I do my blooms, I prefer to use those. So, and I just kind of followed the pattern. I was trying to obviously use the points to make like a leaf pattern, and then the rounds I just used to make a flower. And you'll also see that when I start drawing my actual petals, I just kind of followed the same design of the mold itself. So I'm just going to finish dropping these in there. And I also, just so you know, I've got I don't know what it is about me, but I have a passion for bright colors. I just love bright colors. So, I mean, if you're ever in my house, you would know that I have a bright teal couch, orange pillows, pink pillows, teal, all sorts of just really bright colors. I just always have really liked them a whole bunch. So, getting ready. I should be finishing up. It looks like some of my colors I just wanted to make a little bit stronger, so I'm just adding a second drop. It looks like I just did a second drop of the berry juice from Octopus Fluids on that one. And then now I'm dropping another drop of the, I believe that's either the magenta or the pure pink from US Art Supply in there. Now I'm mixing up my white. Again, I'm using Julie Cut's Bloom Paste, and obviously I'll link all the products I use down below. I just mix it up pretty good so there's no streaks in it, and I actually may speed up, just do a quick time lapse on when I start drawing my petals. And I actually like to draw my petals using a popsicle stick, because I find that I can get, because I want to do something that, you know, looks like a rose. And for me to do a rose, I want really like thick dashed lines in there, because I find that that gives the best replication to either, you know, a rose or a peony flower. Here I'm just swirling my colors together a little bit, and I do this in separate units. So I do like the outer ring, I blend those, then I just, you know, do the second ring, and it looks like right now I'm doing the third ring. I actually don't swirl my color into the center, just because I'm mixing kind of a purple and a yellow, and I don't want it to turn brown, so I'm not going to mix the purple and yellow together. Popping some air bubbles. I have a torch. I often don't use my torch a lot because I've ruined one too many molds with getting too overzealous with my torch, and I find that it's a little bit easier for me to use a lighter or a heat gun. Obviously you don't want to use a lighter or a heat gun right after you drop alcohol inks, because it's alcohol. Alcohol is extremely flammable and no one needs to start a fire. So that's why I will drop my alcohol inks, and then I'll mix up my white just to allow for some lead time in there, so the alcohol dissipates before you start, you know, lighting things on fire with either your flame, your torch, or your heat gun, because you don't want to set anything ablaze. So there you go. Yep, and now I'm just drawing my petals so you guys can see how I do that. Again, I like a thicker dashed line since I'm going for a rose look. And again, like I said, I find that that is the easiest way to get that replicated in resin. So I'll actually just, you can fast forward if you want while I draw my petals, and then we can pick up again, because I actually might speed this up a little bit. But again, like I said before, I'm just following the pattern of the mold, going where it's round, where the leaves are at, or the little points, that's what I'm calling leaves. So yeah, just drawing in that way. And then also, I guess another thing I tell you really quick too is I try to get my petals, like if you think of a circle, all going in the same direction, because I also think that helps make it look more realistic, and it also helps you kind of get that 3D effect if it's all going in the same direction. One more thing I guess to mention in here while we're watching this is I always go from the outside in because that's how resin cures. It goes from the outside in, so it's going to come from the outer petals inward. So if you want to get it to bloom, that's why I'm starting with the outside and not working like from inside out, just so you guys are aware, because the outside's going to start curing, or it's going to be moving inward towards the center. And I guess too, I just also kind of take my time with this. Don't try to, obviously try to rush it. You're using a longer, a resin that's medium viscosity, so it's not going to set up right away. So you can, obviously not take forever in a day, but you can take your time and getting your petals drawn. Well, it looks like I'm getting to the center. So I'm just drawing the last final petals. And I just wanted to briefly state, I get a lot of questions. People don't know like how to mix up their white or which temperature to put it at. And typically I'm using Julie Cutts Bloom Paste, which doesn't require you to wait for your resin to heat up to 40 Celsius. Usually if I used an alcohol ink, say like Pinata Blanco Blanco and epoxy paste, I will wait for my resin to warm up to the 40 Celsius because that will give you the best result. But I honestly, with Julie's paste that she came out with earlier or later this summer, it was in the summer sometime, it just really, I'm finding, makes beautiful blooms, and it takes the guesswork out of your white, even putting in too much, because if you stick to the directions of 1 drop per 10 gram, I mean, you really can't go wrong with this, using this white. And I think that honestly, if I remember back from even when I started doing this, which I've almost been doing it a year now, I can't even believe, but it's been, it took me a lot of time to actually learn how to do a bloom and to work with the correct resin and get the resin right. And I mean, I've honestly filled up a whole like 5 subject notebook, which I've never done in my life, just full of notes and resin projects that I've worked on. And now I finally feel like I'm getting the hang of it. I mean, obviously I'm no expert, but if I can like save anybody a lot of the frustration I went through, not that I don't enjoy the learning process, I totally do, but I think if you can save yourself some headache, I think it'll obviously allowed you to focus on being creative, which, I mean, that's why we do resin, right? At least for me, is that I just enjoy the process. I enjoy making art, obviously colors. I'm really big into colors, that sort of thing. I just really have gone from worrying about bubbles and finding the most appropriate resin to more challenging things like making these blooms work and that sort of thing. But I really feel that this bloom paste would have made a huge difference in my life 9 months ago if such a thing existed at the time, but it doesn't. And a lot of it's just trial and error and figuring out your products and what works for you. But if I can take out some of the guesswork, I'm more than happy to. So it looks like all of that's done. Sadly, I backed this, but I didn't record it, and I wanted to, doesn't look like I recorded the unmolding either, so I'm just gonna give you a picture of the front of how it came out, but I think it came out pretty good.